She's a fashion blogger, model, and entrepreneur.
She's amazing.
The latest tips on fashion, beauty, wellness, travel, and her lifestyle. And now, here's the founder and creator of Not Basic Blonde, Olasha.
Hi, TereZa. I'm so glad to have you on my podcast. Welcome to Not Basic Blonde podcast. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you guys being a power couple, I just had an incredible conversation with Anthony and now you. So I would love to know, behind every successful man, there is, of course, the queen that supports all the kingdom. We would love to know, what's your secret? How do you do it?
You know, funny you said that. And I feel like it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Behind every successful man, there's a loving, caring woman. And then behind every successful woman, there's a supportive, trustworthy, and trusting man.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is where we found our partnership thrive because we both are so supportive of each other's ideas. The secret is that we both subscribe to the same religion of health, biohacking, and like 24/7 being with each other. So once we were clear on our intention about our relationship and our family goals, we started really setting up goals and aligning ourselves. We have our yearly conversations where we set up our yearly goals, our 5-year goals, our 10-year goals. And I find that so important for us specifically. We have vision boards, we have spreadsheets with to-do lists and different sections of what is it that we're trying to achieve, what is it that we're trying to leave as a legacy, what is it that we're trying to teach our children. And I feel like everything just happens effortlessly when you write them down and when you visualize. And it's not just one of us pushing forward towards one goal, it's both of us. And then we've just added our kids and they're homeschooling, so they're traveling. We include them in our vision boards, in our planning, and now all of our energies are geared toward that. And that's like a religion, a household family religion.
Yeah, you're building like empire together.
Exactly. Yeah, we
And
call it a vampire.
Yeah. And also when a couple has the same goals and going towards a goal in one direction, it definitely makes them closer than everyone is doing separate things.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When we were training together, I don't know if you've seen any of our documentaries, but our first documentary, for example, was From Fat Lolli to Six Pack Lolli.
Yeah.
That was my husband's transformation journey. So by the time we got to that journey, the beginning of that journey, he had tried and failed 8 times, losing weight, and he tried to do it alone. He tried to do it on his own and really not getting coaching, really not getting his family on board. And that resulted in failed attempts. And when we decided that this is going to be a family affair, we engaged my mother, his mother. Our kids were very, very young at that time. Our son was just born. He was about 4 months old. Our daughter was 2 years old. And I had my hands full. And he decides to go through that journey at that time. So we knew we needed a team. When we made that a family affair, and we had our support, like my mom and his mom were, what a support was that. And then the nutritionist who we hired, who moved in with us for 9 months, that's when we succeeded, right? And that's when we realized, wow, everything we do, we have to do it together. Similarly to our next journey, which was the Super Lolli's docuseries, for example, he looked at me and he said, babe, we have a household joke. He said, now we're the beauty and the beast, but I'm the beauty. And I was like, okay. Because, he noticed I was actually struggling with postpartum body. I had autoimmune conditions that I got hit with after my son was born. He was a really bad sleeper. So I was up on all kinds of nights and hours. So I think my body was really like screaming for help. And I just really felt floppy and weak. He said, I can train you. I was like, you can't, because I'm the athlete. And look, I was a ping pong champion. I was a swimming competitor. And you were the former obese guy. But he's like, no, when I trained, I learned everything about bodybuilding. And when I saw him on stage, just like full of muscle, and he did it with hard work, I trusted him. So he trained me. Imagine.
Wow.
And I was able to gain 12 pounds of muscle which we recorded, and the Super Lollies really takes you through the journey of a frail mother of two who was able to gain strength and confidence, and also close the gap of diastasis recti, which is a condition that goes completely ignored, but almost every single mother, new mother, should really get tested for a diagnosis for diastasis recti. It's the separation of your abs. Now, when that happens, can you imagine you have flopping gaits? Like your abs are no longer supporting your spine. This is where you start getting a lot of back pain, suffering with osteoporosis, osteopenia, and it just goes and spirals. With one condition, if you just caught that early, and if you really strengthened your core, you may avoid a lifetime of nightmares. So when he trained me, I was able to close my diastasis recti, gained the 12 pounds of muscle, and then we decided to go on a competition tour together. Most people said, you guys are crazy, you're headed for a divorce, it's never gonna work. Nobody trains together this hard and competes in 6 different federations and stays together. It's too stressful, we can't do it. And I said, you know what, I'm intrigued. We're gonna put ourselves through the test. And honestly, it's brought us together closer than we could even imagine. And that's when we realized we're gonna do business together, which is what we were not doing that. He was the business guy, I was the mom, and I was managing our kids' careers in acting and modeling at the time. So we had completely different lives, even though we were involved parents. But when we realized that we can work together, thrive together, achieve goals together, that was the beginning of, I would say, what we've achieved to this day.
Wow, that's amazing. What's your secret by keeping healthy family, healthy balance, even through so many things you guys have to go through and accomplish?
Yeah, well, A is keeping myself healthy, because if the woman in the family doesn't feel energized, doesn't feel happy and healthy, and everything is gonna fall apart. Really, I do believe that women are that connective tissue. We're like the fascia of the family. And so I keep myself extremely healthy. In fact, as of 2 months ago, I officially made it to top 100 of the longevity Olympics by Brian Johnson.
Wow,
so my anti-aging, thank you. My anti-aging markers are through the roof, and it's working. Whatever I'm doing through biohacking and really kind of like cycling on and off of different protocols, trying on different things, and really being alert and understanding my body, I've managed to achieve really top health, and I'm still going. And so I feel like my health keeps our family together. And of course I gamify everything. That's another thing, that I make everything fun. I push. I push this one this direction. I push this one that direction. I create to-do lists and spreadsheets and check boxes, and everyone is like excited to wake up and check their boxes. So it's all a game. This is how we achieve what we want to achieve, and we make our lives a fun game.
Where do you get your motivation from? Because it's hard to always stay positive and you always keep going.
Yeah, look, I have non-positive moments too. And what I do during those days, I stay in my non-positive mode, and I just trust my future self. And I say, I've been here before. And it's mostly hormonal, probably around the cycles. Trying to optimize that, because I don't like the dips. I do not like them. And so I'm working on that with practitioners and coaches. But when that happens, which happens to everyone, you just sit in there. You allow yourself to be. You don't run away from it, because when you run away from it, you have guilt, shame, blame to yourself, which spirals you even more down. So if you don't do that to yourself, and you say, so what? I'm down today. Like, it's okay. I trust my week later self that I'm going to regain my positivity. And, you know, I've had moments where I was completely down for a longer amount of times, and that was when I was dealing with my postpartum collapse after Legend. My son was born. That was a month-long downs. And during those times, I uplift myself through writing. That's like the only exercise I do. When I find myself completely hopeless, let's say, right, I'm like, I just can't get that motivation. I can't find what it is that ticks me. I just write down. In a perfect world, if I had the most perfect life, what does that look like? And you start writing. You start seeing things. You start wanting things by writing them. You start almost like forcing yourself to see something else to be your reality.
That's a great outlook to do that, actually, and I also do let myself sometimes sit with emotions and, you know, just go through it, because it's just sometimes your body needs it, sometimes you just need it.
Yeah.
Because if you try to get through it and push through it, sometimes it
I
comes
mean,
back.
there's a reason where the scientists are not touching women and they're not doing tests on women because
Yeah.
we're complicated human beings. You know, we are. And that's actually one of my protests with the Shield documentary, how 80% of women are struggling with autoimmune conditions. And
Yeah.
why? Because they've been treated as small men. That's what JJ Virgin, my co-producer of the Shield documentary, which stands for She Healed, featuring 80 experts, world-renowned experts that focus on female longevity, they all mentioned there's not enough testing done on women. They just stay away from our complicated hormones and
Yeah.
our ups and downs. It's not steady research driven results, which just kind of pushes us down. But that's going to change soon because, you know, people like JJ Virgin, people like the rest of our cast are being loud about it. They're demanding research. They're demanding that women get treated as the women that we are, you know,
Yeah.
with all of our complicated emotional, hormonal levels.
True. And what's the best advice for women to gain their health back, or to just if they're going through some issues, health issues, what's the best way to identify it and right away, and what's
Yeah.
would be the first step?
The first step, get your genetic testing. I'm obsessed with SNP diagnostics right now. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just did my entire family's SNP diagnostics. They test the most amount of SNPs, most amount of gene expressions, and they can tell you clearly, not only about your personalities, but about some of the health alerts that you can have in the future life, right? For example, the MTHFR gene mutation, which is the most popular one right now. But there's so many other gene expressions that can make you work less optimally. And then you think that this is who you are, that this is how your body's meant to function, and you start degrading through the ages, right? It's like, okay, let me tell you, when you go to the dentist and they say, oh yeah, you have a little cavity here, we don't have to touch it, but we're gonna start watching it.
Yeah.
Don't you think in your mind, okay, well, that tooth is gonna
Yeah.
go in the next 10 years? It's most predictable that there's gonna be cavity, there's gonna be drilling, there's gonna be filling, and then towards the end that tooth is gonna probably come out. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So a lot of the health issues, we feel the same way. We feel like when something starts, you almost feel like, oh, oops, it's gonna happen. Like, so I'm gonna just maintain it. I'm gonna do everything possible to like get it stuck at least to the same level. But nobody's thinking to check their genetics. If you test your gene expressions and you really start understanding what is your body metabolizing, what is your body having a hard time, what is, like, there's a gene that is not allowing you to accept the vitamin D. I have to actually learn the names of these gene SNPs. But this gene is responsible for you always being deficient in vitamin D. Doesn't matter how much sun you take, doesn't matter how much vitamin D you take, you're still not naturally going to be on a good level of vitamin D3, and that's like life. That vitamin D3 is life force. Like, it's one of the most important vitamins for you to have. So understanding that is top priority, and actually getting on the supplementation that allows you to methylate life, methylate food, methylate sunlight and everything in the proper way, where now your body functions as if it's a Ferrari. That's I would say. Get your genetics understanding, and get your kids and your husband, your entire family, understand everybody's genetics. I think this is like almost like associate's degree, right?
Yeah.
Really study it. Learn the names of these gene SNPs. Really learn, what are they responsible for? Are they going to cause, let's say, diabetes later down the road, heart issues, right? All of this. You want to know. You don't want to just get hit with a condition when it's too late. Get ahead of the game. Find out, especially for your kids too. There's so many kids now coming up with so many broken genes, and then you put them on a horrific medication where all it could be is
Side effects.
side effects
Yeah.
are awful, but instead you can actually supplement their genetic expressions and then allow their bodies to do what they're meant to be doing.
Such a great advice.
Yeah. Second, find a biological dentist. We're actually going to be releasing our By Old Dentistry
Really?
documentary, yes, by the end of this year, potentially beginning of next year. So I suggest everyone to keep an eye on Biohack Yourself Media Instagram to see when the release is going to come out, because with that documentary, the game is going to change. The patient himself or herself is going to be aware of what do they need to request when you go to the dentist. Now, when you go to the dentist, have you ever asked, what are you putting in my mouth?
No.
Never. never occurs to you. Even the painkiller injection. Do you even know the ingredients of the injection?
Well,
You don't.
they only do lidocaine, I hope.
Right. But I'm just saying, do you know the fillings, for example? They say, no,
No.
it's good. It's
Fillings,
BPA
no.
free. It's mercury free. And that's
Yeah.
all you care about. But okay, but then what's in it? We don't know. If you get a tooth removed, let's say, do you ask, well, what are you putting in the hole? Is there going to be a hole left? Which now we're understanding it's called a cavitation. When
And
they
implants, they make it like
titanium implants,
yeah.
right? Whole kinds of health issues are linked to titanium implants. Right now, we're discovering all of that. So finding a biological dentist is one of the most important things, and really understanding what is going on in your mouth. Have you had wisdom teeth removed? And are there cavitations in those sockets? For example, me, I had 4 of those cavitations because 4 of my wisdom teeth were removed. And we found out I had mold in one of them. So I'm living with mold in my gums 24/7.
I didn't even know it's possible.
It is because a lot of times when they extract the tooth, so tooth is a living organism. It has lymphatic system, nervous system, fascia. Sometimes when they remove the tooth, they leave some of the tissue there, and then they close the hole without putting anything else there. So now there's a hole left in there with dead tissue, sometimes dead root, and that's nobody's fault. That's just how the education system was. Now they're just evolving dentistry and discovering that most of the cancer cases, most of the health issues can completely be linked to dental practices. It's going to change the game when this documentary comes out. So much is going to really reveal to the patient, because the patient needs to become their own health detective. You need to really understand who's touching your mouth, who's putting what in your mouth, and what's going to be the side effect of that.
Very interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
As far as entrepreneurship, what is the best entrepreneurship advice can you give to women?
To women, I'm a very feminine human being. I think entrepreneurship is in my opinion, I think it's a very masculine.
It is.
Yeah, so I've experimented with my masculinity and my femininity, and I know exactly which zone I'm in at what particular moment of my journey. Yeah. So for me, leaning on my husband and his expertise and whatever he is good at has been absolutely life-changing. It allows me to stay in my feminine. It allows me to stay in my creativity, in my gut feeling, in my, I think they say it, feminine, divine feminine. Yeah. And I think with Biohack Yourself, the documentaries, and just bringing on all the cast members, uniting all of them, that's been in my feminine power. Had I lost that and just been focused on masculine business, money, I don't think I would have been able to stay as connected and as nurturing to everyone that I was able to bring together in this industry.
It's an incredible thing that you guys stay as a power couple and you guys do all the things together. But so many women right now are going through these stages because internet kind of ruined the dating, and it's like some of them don't even want to, kind of associate themselves with men because of the issues they haven't. But I guess it goes both ways, because there are many good men out there too, but it's just thing to find it.
Yeah, and I think, you're right. I mean, look, there's internet, there's modern, all these movement, feminine movement, this movement, that movement. I just suggest that everybody really think of their lives, that you're living this experience, and all this noise is not you. All this noise is outside of you, and you really need to hone in and understand you have one life, one experience. What is it that you want from this life? I think being in your masculine drains you as a woman. All the women that are high-performing entrepreneurs, they have extreme amount of adrenal fatigue. They all need to get on hormone replacement therapy. There's a lot of side effects to constantly being on this masculine mode. I'm not saying that masculinity is not good. Like, sometimes you really need to bring your fighter self, because if you're gifted the divine feminine, there's a reason for that, right? And because you bring up so much to the world, sometimes you need to fight for it, but then you need to pull back into your femininity and really just be able to rest and digest and allow the men to be men. And I think men, in our relationship, what works so beautifully is once I became a mother, I read every single parenting book out there that you could ever touch. And I find it fascinating that when I started treating my husband the way I was treating my children, you know, just almost like mothering and nurturing and really just coming from an understanding perspective, not blame, guilt, shame, you know, all this just fight or flight. There's a lot of relationships that have, they fall into this positioning and then they fake the new positioning, but they always fall back into what they really feel. But if you just really look at your husband or your spouse as if they're the 5-year-old, you know, kid who's going through this and this and this experience and that made them this way, then you're able to find a common language. I can't tell you how many times my husband had breakthroughs because of some of my conversations and bringing up some of the topics that I would bring up with my children or about my children at a very young age too. Like when you're assessing a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old and they're going through their tantrums or developmental stages, and you correlate that to a 45-year-old man and you say, you know, this is what I'm noticing. Do you think this is true? Do you think this could have been connected to something you went through in childhood? I'm telling you, my husband, I've become my husband's therapist in a way. He's my business coach. I'm his, what coach I am? Like more like human and self-understanding, self-discovery. And this is another thing. Like if you stay in your femininity, in your mothering, nurturing self, you will see your men blossom, your children blossom. Therefore, you blossom and your family blossoms.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, TereZa. Thank you for being my guest.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I guess that's all. Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, we got good footage for a long time, so
Yeah?
I mean, like over an hour or so.
I didn't do any commercial points. Of
Oh,
magazine,
yeah. I'm
this,
sorry.
that.
Let me ask. Yeah, hold
Yeah?
on. Yeah, hold
Okay.
on. And also tell us more about where we can find you, where we can get the magazine.
Yeah, so we're everywhere now. Luckily, we speak all the different love languages of our audience. So we have a lot of documentaries on Amazon Prime and Roku and Apple, all the streaming platforms, YouTube movies. We have from Fat Lolli to Six Pack Lolli. We have Biohack Yourself, a 5-part documentary. We have the Super Lollies. We have the Guru. We have Skin Deep. We have the Shield coming soon. And then we have By All Dentistry premiering soon at the end of this year. So you can just search Lolli Brands Entertainment, and you'll find out our entire catalog, and you can't miss any of our documentaries. They really open up your eyes in a very authentic way. So that's for my binge watchers. Then we have our magazine, which is a print magazine, Tech-Free Wellness. You can read this in your sauna. You can read this in your hyperbaric chamber where you can't fidget, can't take the phone in for an hour. I was in a hyperbaric chamber for an hour. I was like, oh my gosh, when is this over? When is this over? You know, because we're just so used to like absorbing information, constantly being on the go. Well, this is a perfect read and just a nighttime read. We bring some of the best scientists, best contributors to contribute their work, their latest, the greatest work to the magazine. We also vet all of our advertisers. So if an advertiser is in this magazine, they've been vetted, they're legit, they're not snake oil. And I think that's a lot of value for our readers. And this is a quarterly magazine, so you're constantly staying up to date. Then our Instagram platform is all of for my TikTok fans, like the ones that have just TikTok time and they just have to get their information and go. We have journalists all over the world. We were just in Saudi Arabia covering events about longevity. So we are expanding our operations globally. We have journalists everywhere now bringing and uniting with the message of health and longevity so everyone can stay on the cutting edge of this information.
Wow, it's incredible. Thank you so much, TereZa.
Thank you.
Thank you for being my guest.
Awesome.
That was all for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this incredible episode and the power couple that shared so much wisdom. And Not Basic Blonde podcast is available on all the major podcast platforms with new episodes on Tuesday and Thursday. If you share Not Basic Blonde podcast on your stories, the Instagram is NBB podcast, and I will share you as well. So have a great day. Thank you, guys.